the table first. What is the most expensive petrol you've seen at the pump in the last week or so? I'll start there. What's happening in Ukraine and with Russia? Is that what's driving up petrol prices, or is there more to it than that? High from where they were. How are you dealing with cost of living? I mean, you've got obviously your supermarket strategy, Laura. So tell us a bit more. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another True Potential Do More With Your Money podcast. It's episode 109 today, and today's big topic is petrol prices and the rising cost of living that we're all experiencing at the moment. So we know these are big issues, and we've got some big personalities to talk about them today in the studio. So let's meet them. Raj is back. Good to see you again, Raj.
Hi, Pete.
Laura back for another podcast. Is this number 2 for you, Laura? Or
3, I think. Yeah.
Number 3.
Never done one with you though, Peter. So
That's
I'm
right.
looking forward to this.
Oh, really? It's an experience. You might not be saying that at the end. And Greg's back as well. Hiya, Greg.
Hi,
you okay?
Yes, I'm good, thanks.
We've been outdressed by Laura and Raj today, I see.
It doesn't take much.
No, not at all. Well, as I said before, I'm dressing up. This is not me being outdressed. This is literally how I roll, Raj. So it's good to see you. Now, we're talking about UK economy, petrol prices, cost of living. You can't pick up a paper or put on the radio or the TV news these days without hearing about it. Can we do a little bit of, not a quiz or anything like that, but just a little bit of round the table first. What is the most expensive petrol you've seen at the pump in the last week or so? I'll start the bidding at 172.
I'm not far. 171 now.
171?
Yeah, 171.
That's what I should have said. It's not top trumps, it's top pumps. I just thought of that one. I should have thought of it before. 172. Any offers above 172, Greg?
I've been sent an image of 179.
Oh,
179.
well, there you go.
Further south, but yeah.
I think I'm only still at 160.
Oh,
so
yeah.
this was last week.
Right.
So maybe when I have to fill up at the weekend, maybe I'll start to see it. But last week it was 160.
Well, I think you can win that with your photo of you.
I did see it.
You did, well, you did. In fact, I'll give you that one. I saw somebody in the newspaper the other day filling up their car with cooking oil, which I know. I mean, I hear you can do that. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it. I'd probably cook some chips first and then put it in the car. But apparently you can put cooking oil in your car. They say, don't take that as advice and go and do it. I will not be held responsible for any broken engines after this. But yeah, there was this guy come in at Tesco with litres of cooking oil, and he was just putting it into his car. Raj, you wouldn't do a thing like that, would you?
I wouldn't be even standing behind his car. I don't know what's going to come out of that.
A load of chips. Probably out the back. But anyway, look, we'll get into some of this over the next half an hour or so. But Raj, let's, if you wouldn't mind just giving us first a little bit of a rundown of how the week's been on the markets, please.
Sure, Peter. I think then I was setting up for this week, or what's expected for this week ahead. And then there was you're going through the bucket list of what to expect from that we had Russia-Ukraine crisis still going on. We had central bank meetings, key central banks meeting from Bank of England yesterday, and on Wednesday we had Federal Reserve in the US. So there were a lot on cards which could rattle the markets. And we did see some overflow from over the weekend. We saw US again rhetoric on China itself. That were accusing them of helping Russia for the arms and so on. So we were expecting a little bit of wobble to start with, and then as things will go. And then, surprisingly, we started on the very softer side. On Monday, we had a soft market, not materially soft market, but then on Tuesday, on Tuesday we had a big wobble in Chinese market, but as the week progressed, we started settling down, and then nerves settled down in the market, and then we saw Chinese coming out on Wednesday, early on Wednesday, the Tuesday night, our time, giving support to the market overall, which brought a positive momentum in the market on Wednesday, and then we saw. Through the Wednesday, we saw a bit stronger markets both in Asia and in Europe as well. And then literally as the US opened up, there was not much of a strong rhetoric from Federal Reserve, which put a lid on, or at least a floor on, that there's not much aggressiveness in the US monetary policy. So which sets up nicely for the Wednesday as well. Then it carried on the momentum on Thursday as well. So equity market on Thursday also from Asia and Europe opened up strongly. And then we hit into Bank of England yesterday, which was interesting because markets were expecting a little bit more, a stronger message on given the inflation, high inflation prints we were seeing. To rather surprise, Bank of England took a little bit a softer tone to it. be it part because of the Russia-Ukraine crisis and the impact it is having on inflation, petrol prices, and everything, things to be consumed on a day-to-day basis. So I think they took a little bit of a cautious approach. They did raise rates by 25 basis points, which this is probably after a long time they have raised in 3 consecutive meetings. So we currently are sitting at 0.75% interest rates, Bank of England interest rates, which puts us at par with just before the COVID crisis hit. So we're back up to those interest rate levels. So I think but market took it very in the stride, and then I think it was a positive message around that we are not here to choke up the growth. That was an important message, and market heard it right and clear that it's a balancing act they're trying to enact, and I think the market took it when it's right, and we saw a strong market yesterday. There is some give back this morning, but not a material. I think it's a moving sideways, literally I would call it. So. If we don't see material ratchet up in any tensions between Russia and Ukraine, hopefully we'll end the weekend on a positive note.
Yeah, it's funny. I'd noticed actually that checked into, logged into my own portfolio on the True Potential app, and as we always say, we believe in skin in the game at True Potential, so we are all invested in our own portfolios, and I wouldn't have known necessarily the details behind why it was happening, as you've explained there, Raj. But I'd noticed in the last couple of days markets were back up again, and when I logged into my portfolio, I saw that it was improving again. So have you logged in this week, guys? Have you seen that as well?
Yeah, just again yesterday, and it's kind of again when you log into your app, you can kind of see over the last week, and you use the graph. It's quite nice when you can see that the longer term game that. There is volatility. Yeah. But it's nice that you can monitor that daily, you can monitor it weekly, but then you get the information that we have from the specialist in house, and you kind of understand it did go up yesterday. That's and right. You kind of about it, you notice.
And I think for me, I don't know about you, Greg, but it just every time I see this kind of thing, I think, well, that's why I would never ever try to time the markets, because you just log in. There's obviously a rationale behind why it's going up, and Raj and the team understand that, and they operate around that. But for me, I wouldn't have a clue whether it's going to be up today, down tomorrow, or whatever. So it's nice when you just log back in and see it. But key is not to try to time the markets. I mean, we always say that, but that's
there's a saying I always get wrong, but it's time in the market. It's not timing the markets, because you can try and pick the right day to go in. If it's the wrong day, it's the wrong day. You can't undo that. Whereas just lasting it through, we speak to many advisors, many clients on a daily basis, and the uncertainty of the market can make you a little bit worried of kind of, is it going to get any worse? But for me, it's always at the point where you're asking the question, it's already bad. It's rarely in a good market you go, now's the time to sell. People always wait until it's a bad market, and I always think it's actually the time where you can to get a little bit more in and try and get that compounded interest of buying cheaper units and letting it grow. And on that topic, I actually literally logged in this morning and I had Mark Henderson sitting across the desk, and I says, Mark, your performance is in our performance of the funds. If you looked at that in isolation, you wouldn't say that that's what the world looks like at the moment. Everything else is, and I know we're talking about a lot of negatives today of, cost of inflation, everything seems like it's going up, but actually it did go down. It spent a little bit of time down, and it's just crept its way back up to the point where it's actually above where it was. And I thought, if you didn't log in, if you didn't have the ability to log in, you were just getting an annual statement or something like that, you'd be really worried. But actually that transparency of looking through and seeing how your portfolio is doing really does differ to what the 10 o'clock news would have told you last night, which is everything's doom and gloom. Yeah.
Well, they're very good at telling you when markets come down. They're not so good at telling you when they're back up again, and even when they surpass where they were before. Let's get on and talk about the main topic today, which is the cost of living, and petrol prices, and I guess inflation and things like that are at the forefront of that, or the forecourt of that. So, I mean, have you noticed? Have you noticed petrol prices going up particularly, or just cost of living generally, Greg? I mean, when you do the weekly shop.
Well, I don't do the weekly shop, Peter.
All right.
That you'll be surprised to hear that I leave to my better half. But
it's very modern of you, Greg.
Yeah, I'm a real modern man. It's actually because I get flustered in the shops, and I end up just ringing her 20 times to say,
"Oh, right.
Where's the honey? Where's this, that,
the other?" So she does it anyway.
You might as well do it yourself. I panic in the supermarket.
Panic buyer.
I don't buy. That's the problem. I come back with everything I wasn't on the list.
Right.
So
Only stick to the list, Greg.
See, that's the difference right there, isn't it? Right, for you men and women, you know, stick to the list, and we're just like, where's the crisps and stuff, and just a few bottles of beer.
And never go hungry either. Never go to the supermarket hungry.
Where's the wine?
yeah, if you've got a full trolley, you can't go wrong. That's my logic. But no, they certainly on petrol and fuel. I think it's something you. Again, it's one of those, I always think with it, when it's cheap, you take it for granted.
Mm-hmm.
You think that's its normal price, but actually it is a price that can fluctuate a lot based on demand and how easy it is to access it. So no, I actually noticed filling the car, it was the first time I can remember, it was over £100 for a full tank of fuel, and that made us sort of step back a little bit.
What do you drive?
A big car. It was over £100 to fill it up, and that was from being empty to the point where I thought I really am going to have to stop at the next petrol station, which was just off a motorway, which is my own fault. But yeah, over £100.
But you've begun to feel the kind of cost coming through a little bit into your own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And then this has happened more in the last 4 weeks. I know inflation's been high for a while, and generally prices, but it seems to have been something which has, you know, gone on rocket boosters in the last, say, 4 or 5 weeks or so. So I'm wondering whether, in terms of people's pay packet generally, maybe this is the one when they'll begin to feel that there's not quite as much left at the end of the month as there might have been in previous months, because of the fact that things have shot up in the last few weeks or so, Raj.
I think that's right. You're right in there, Peter. It's like, it's largely because of Russia-Ukraine crisis, the petrol prices have shot up. And just to give you a round trip, we started the month 1st of March. We started the Brent crude oil at $98. It all the way back, going up to almost $130. Now back to $98. Yesterday they were back at around $105, $109, I think. So I think it's a round trip, and we are also feeling the pinch of it. And it's also important that as much as they can go far higher up, they can come down, and that's what the March has shown us. And we, as a consumer, don't feel that big volatility, because petrol prices on gas stations are typically measured over time, and they don't go up and down quite dramatically. So the recent lurch down in petrol prices, we may see further down the line rather than immediately feeling the effect. And then potentially we could see some government help. We don't know, but there could be a noise from government help, easing on some taxes and something. I know for sure the California in the US, they are looking to cut some of the taxes to ease the pain of it. Would we see similar episodes in the UK? We yet to see, but
yeah. Well, there is the sort of spring statement mini budget coming up, I think, isn't there? Next week. So that might be a moment when we might, you know, see some reduction on fuel duty, possibly, but who knows? But
also we're in spring months and summer months, so I think our overall heating bills and gas bills should probably typically come down. So I think that's a looking at the brighter side of it, we're looking outside as well. It's a little bit warmer now, so I think that should probably ease a little bit.
I don't know about that. I got an email from my electricity provider the other day saying your bill's going up by £1,000 over the next 12 months compared to where it was. So, I'll have to go and get a Saturday job or something.
I'll have to get a job first, Peter.
Oh, thanks very much, Greg. Do you know something I don't like? Is there a P45 knocking around here somewhere? And is it as simple as the what's happening in Ukraine and with Russia? Is that what's driving up petrol prices, or is there more to it than that?
I think there's that's the recent surge in prices is largely attributed. We can largely attribute to that because it's a fungible market. If there's a scarcity of supply on one side, you will feel the ripple effect across the board. So I think it's largely to do with that. But there was a prior upswing in last year as well in petrol prices. I think that is probably more structural because of the greening effects and policies of government in general. We have seen a marked cut down in capital expenditure by oil companies, which puts a supply constraints. And OPEC, which is an organization of petroleum manufacturing producing countries, has been playing their own book as well, not ramping up the supplies at the right time when it needed, instead of being pressured from the rest of the world. I think there is a structural supply shortage as well, which was attributed to the last year's price rise.
And is that part of why the Prime Minister was in Saudi Arabia this week to speak to get more production flowing? Was that what that was all about?
Yes, I think it's also the US have also talked to Saudi Arabia as well, and UAE as well. So I think it's as you said, Boris Johnson also went earlier this week to Saudi Arabia. Also, there is also an element because we, I think, import around 6% of oil from Russia as well, also to cushion that part of the market as well. So I think it's a lot of pressure, but I don't know if for now they have not budged much. But I think it's largely the news flow from Russia and Ukraine, which is giving us big swings right now. And
the $1 million question, or maybe the $1 million barrel question, is how do you see this looking ahead? Maybe the next 6 months, Raj. What's your bet? Where are we going to be?
I think it's a difficult one to call.
That's why I asked you.
You need to have some peek into one man's brain, essentially, and I don't think anybody has that leading power. But I think, would we see a big surge up in prices from here? If I had to put some bet on it, I probably would not say. I think we probably have seen bulk of it. And there are a couple of reasons why I say it's the bulk of it, because if you look at there's a shale production in the US is at certain level, which is around $100 a barrel, becomes viable, and we will see some output increases from the US as well. UAE, which is another major producer part, they have also ratcheted up a little bit of they are pushing for their own agenda to upping the production as well. We potentially could see Iran deal getting through. We will get immediate relief from the Iran deal as well. There's a lot of floating oil. Estimates around 80 to 100 million barrels of floating storage. If we get some resolution to that oil can immediately flow into the market. So I think there's many ups and positives further down. But as with everything else, they take longer to come to fruition rather than immediate. You can't switch on the tap of petrol. I think so. Probably 6 months down the line, there are reasonable positive supply shocks we could see from here.
Well, look, let's bring back in Laura and Greg then. So if we are sort of looking at high prices and cost of living for the next few months, let's say, perhaps coming down a little bit, but still high from where they were. How are you dealing with cost of living? I mean, you've got obviously your supermarket strategy, Laura. So tell us a bit more. How are you sort of
I
managing
think the thing for me, and I think I mentioned on the last one as well, I'm a typical accountant. I kind of plan, budget, and I'm very much a fan of that. And I think, a lot of people don't really get the grips with what comes in the bank, what goes out the bank. So when you start to feel these price rises, you think, well, where am I going to go? How am I going to manage through this? And it's, use a budgeting tool, use a spreadsheet. It's very simple, but it's all about understanding your incomings and your outgoings and where can you save. All of us will have monthly subscriptions to all kinds of things. Apple take money out for things that you think I can't even remember what I subscribed to there, or gym membership, whatever it may be. What can you kind of cut back on just through these times now, as to how can you kind of minimize that impact really, but also spending wisely and shopping around. You've got for your utilities, you've got various comparison sites where you can go on and compare, but also kind of shopping and petrol. So I'm opposite to Greg. I never go to the motorway petrol stations, mainly because I travel to the Sainsbury's, wherever the Sainsbury's petrol station, because I collect my nectar points. So I save those up and I use the nectar points for my big Christmas shop, for example. But it's Sainsbury's, supermarkets, things like that. Generally the cheaper fuel price rather than kind of on the fly when you're nearly on the red and you've got no option. You're typically paying higher prices. So planning your journey. When what petrol station can I go to on my way to work or whatever it may be, and trying to kind of plan ahead and budget really.
I guess I think I know the answer to this, but are you a start of the month saver or a let's see what I've got left at the end of the month kind of saver?
I would probably say start of the month.
Yeah,
I think so. and then I typically know kind of what I've got for the rest of the month. But you know, at the beginning of the month, all your bills come out on the 1st.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of put your money aside, put it in your ISA, and then you know what you've got to play with for the rest of the month. Whether you can afford a weekend away or whether you can't.
Yeah, maybe not a full weekend, maybe
Yeah.
one day. And Greg, I think that's probably an important message there is if you get into the habit of putting money away at the start of the month, then if things do start to get a little bit tight towards the end, you're not sacrificing your savings. You maybe just do, not have that weekend away. Or, I mean, I appreciate you've got to have a little bit of fun, but, maybe just don't have the takeaway or something. But if you've done the saving, if you did it the other way around, it's too easy to get into a habit of just not saving anything. And then when things do calm down, you're then out of the habit of saving. So presumably you'd say stick with the habit of putting money away at the start.
It's been said on this podcast a few times, and I think it's worth repeating. But treat it like a bill. Just treat savings like a bill. It's money we've obviously got the likes of the auto enrolment pension, which is where it comes out before you've even received your pay, which I think is a fantastic product. But it's not quite forceful enough because you can't opt out, and also we're talking a small percentage, but. From a savings point of view, I always just think, well, if I can put, say, £100, £200 into savings before I've got the money in the bank, it's money you've never seen. And after a couple of months, that becomes the norm. And what I try and do is challenge myself to put more away, which is where I then use Impulse Save, which kind of gives me two good habits. Then one is the direct debit before, I've even seen it. And then at the end of the month, which is if I've got £30 left over, log in, Impulse Save, and just move it across because I know I'm getting paid the next day. And I think that it kind of complements it, which means if you've got a little bit more over at the end of the month, you've been good, you've not had a couple of weekends away or a couple of nights out or takeaways, you can put that money away ad hoc, but also having that discipline of a regular.
Because if you do, it's like anything, isn't it? It is like going to the gym. If you get out of the habit of doing it, it's hard to get back in it again. And I just think the cost of living, I know it's a real thing and people will be feeling it, but hopefully it's a fairly temporary issue, and it'll hopefully fade away. But you just can't get out of that habit, can you? Because you have to have a long-term goal, or you should have a long-term goal, and we talk a lot about, don't we, Greg, about having a long-term savings goal. So a little bump in the road right now, but that goal, it's another reason why it's vitally important to have a long-term savings goal, which is something we talk a lot about, isn't it?
Yeah, we do. I think Laura and I were talking yesterday on a totally unrelated subject, and we then mentioned about today's podcast. And for me, it's the analogy I'd always give to friends, family, clients, advisors. And it's not advice, but if you're running a marathon, you are setting off here, and you need to get to your goal, which is 26 miles later. If you're 5 miles in and the road's starting to get a little bit bumpy, you don't just quit the marathon. You don't say this is tough. It's what you do is you've got a goal. It's a long way away in most cases, but just working your way through each of the stages, each of the parts of the process gets you where you need to be. And I think goal-based investing is vitally important. It's not just putting money away for next week or next month or even next year. This is about your retirement. It's about long-term plans, which may be 5, 10, in my case, probably 30, 40 years away from, when I'll actually need my pension. So why would I do something now based on a little bit of uncertainty? But actually more importantly, and it's what we talked about earlier, if I'd have cashed out maybe a week ago, I'd have been buying units now far more expensive than what I've sold them at. So not only have I realised that loss, to re-enter the market, to get back to where I want to be, back on that road, I've got to start further back. So it's kind of in that marathon analogy, it's why would you want to start the race again back where you were? You want to start it, and keep going at it. So that again, a poor analogy from me on a podcast, but I always like to think in simple layman terms.
That's right. And now you've introduced running into it, Greg. I have to ask you, slightly off topic, but you, of course, I'm not surprised because you did run the length of Great Britain last year. So are you running back the other way this year, or what are you doing?
No, I've just stopped up in Scotland somewhere.
Have you hung your trainers up?
If you're looking for me, I'm in John O'Groats somewhere, just hiding away.
Well, you've just talked about a 26-mile marathon so much. I think you can have at least do one of those, Greg.
Well, I'll be doing a half marathon, which is the Great North Run again, and that's about it.
Very good.
All right, well, let's get back on topic. You speak to advisors obviously a lot in the week as part of your job. So, are they feeling some of this coming through from their clients, or have they raised it with you?
Yes, I think you'd be, a poor financial advisor if you weren't dealing with the market. It's the main bread and butter for financial advisors. I think the main thing, and I'm not saying it because Roger's on the other side of the table, but the level of information our investment management team's pumping out on a daily basis with the morning markets, interim, information in writing from the likes of Raj, Jeff, and Mark coming out, it really helps them speak with their clients and, just basically reassure the consumer, the customer of what is going on, cutting through the noise. You can watch the news and really scare yourself, but actually speaking to an investment professional and speaking with your financial advisor. So I think the good thing that I've seen, Peter, is actually the message has been consistent, it's been reassuring, it's been stay in your seat, see this one through. And as we've talked about, we're sort of starting to see some brighter days and some more green days as opposed to red days looking at the markets, and likewise within the portfolio. So it's also a busy time of year, which we talked about in last week's podcast, tax year end, and tax year starting next month. It's a already busy time for us in financial services, made a little bit more busy, but I think the rhetoric of the constant kind of reassurance from the team is helping advisors kind of cut through the noise, because there's a lot of companies out there who want to be heard most by scare stories and all that kind of thing, and we're just delivering real information and kind of information the client on the street can understand as well, which I think is important.
And just thinking about the technology, Laura, then, if people have, to take your point before, if people want to put a few pounds away at the start of the month, or just get it into a safe place so they don't end up spending it in the supermarket or whatever on things they don't need. In terms of the app and technology, what's the quickest way that people can just put a couple of pounds into their ISA? And if they, to Greg's point as well, if they want to top up, use their ISA allowance before the end of the tax year, what's the best way that they can use?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a fantastic app, the client app, and we just launched obviously a new update at the beginning of this year, and it's really user friendly, so I think going back to Greg's point about, maybe setting up that direct debit so that it is kind of, it's coming out before you even see it, before you know about it. But using Impulse Save is so important. Even if you're kind of budgeting weekly, saving that takeaway, just Impulse Save it. Once it's gone, it's in there, and then you know what you've got for the next week. And Impulse Save, I mean, you can invest anything from as little as £1. It's a fantastic piece of technology, and well used throughout. All clients, even staff, and we're all use it on a regular basis. And it is about that regular saving as well, like you were saying, and making the most of the the kind of the compound interest that you get over the time, rather than I have to pay a lump sum in now. That's the best way of building up that habit, I would say. So
little and often. Little and often
is definitely the way.
Just before we kind of finish off then, I want to just maybe get one tip off all of you then for our wonderful audience thinking, okay, what's your best tip then at the moment? Thinking of rising cost of living, but I don't want to give up on my goal. What would you say? What's one piece of, not advice, because I know we don't do advice, we don't do advice, some people do, but not us. But what's the one tip you would give, Raj?
I think it probably goes back to what Laura said, that it's all about expenses.
You can't steal Laura's tip, because
No, I think it's focusing on expenses, one element of it. I think it's an income side of it is an important, what you do with your savings. I think, are we getting the most bang for your buck for the savings? And I think in staying in the bank account, which we all have done, and we all are culprit of that in some extent, that not letting that savings be in the financial assets which help you generate and participate in this growth and inflation. The best way to let your savings work for you rather than eating into it. Currently, inflation is eating into it. And make it work and making financial assets. The capitalist system we live into the modern world is designed to compensate you for that for inflation. So I think doing more with that money savings is probably the. I know I'm an investment guy, and so that's what you're going to get. But I think that's an equally other side of it, expenses and income. How you can substantiate, and these shocks will come, and how to insulate from these shocks that will be my way of looking at it.
Greg.
We've not really talked about it. Mine's a tip to anybody on listening today is just go and use True Potential Rewards. It's something I used. I'm now no longer allowed to buy anything online without going through True Potential rewards. So you know, it's a new feature in the app. Laura mentioned we launched C Next, our new client technology, and in there's a real hidden gem. Rewards. It's a cashback feature where you go online, make a purchase, and depending on the vendor, they will have a range of cashbacks. I think the average cashback I've received using it around 10%. So of online purchases, the highest was 45% cashback, which was airport parking, which is always a nightmare, as everybody always knows. It's expensive just for a little parking space, but 45%.
Or two for your big £100 tank full thing. It must be you must
whole
need
row,
2 spaces.
the whole row of
That's why it's so expensive for you, Greg.
But 45% cashback is incredible, and you know when we're talking about where you can save and whatever, there are some purchases you've got to make, and it's all major retailers on there. So you know when we are talking about things in a year you've got to go and buy, if you can get cashback, you might as well. So I'd challenge everybody. Listening, try a reward. It's
when you say you're not allowed to go on online shopping without using rewards, I mean, who is the person that is dictating this to you, Greg? I'm worried about you. Is this because you got married recently?
It is.
I feel like you're in trouble in the supermarket. You're not allowed to go online without somebody.
As you can tell, I need to be policed, Peter. I'm a menace with a bank card. So no, I
Welcome to married. I think it's called Welcome to Married
Life. It probably
life,
is married life. Yes.
Yes.
Happy life as well.
Well, absolutely. Of course, Raj. I wouldn't suggest anything else. But, Laura, what's your tip then?
I think my tip would be don't make rash decisions. You know, we are in a turbulent time. There is a lot of information. There's a lot of news. Like we were saying before, you turn on the news and you seem to only hear the downsides. So naturally, you can go on your app and think, oh, should I take this out? Should I, cash in now? Just don't make any rash decisions right now. We've been through turbulent times in the past. We've seen it through COVID.
Yeah.
The market's bounced back in pretty quickly actually compared to what people may have originally thought. So this is just how the markets are. There is turbulence, there is volatility. Just don't make any rash decisions.
Yeah.
Speak to your financial advisor, like you were saying, Greg. Listen to the information that we put out, and just stay in your seats. It's a longer term game. Well,
that's a great point as well. Do speak to your advisor. I said before, we don't give advice, as in that's not our job around this table, but there are hundreds of advisors here at True Potential who can give you the best advice you can get. So pick up the phone, get in touch with them. There's a little tip I'll borrow from you, Laura. Right, I won't ask what you're doing this weekend, because frankly, that's a bit nosy of me, but I will ask what you're doing after the podcast, Raj. What's your next thing on your agenda?
I will probably looking at the markets, how markets have moved, and see if there was any trades. Hopefully not many trades to do, but I think then hopefully if everything calms down, take a flight back to London.
Yeah. So you're always watching. That's what we pay you for, Raj. You're always watching what's going on in the markets, and that's what you're doing straight after this. Greg, what about you?
I'm 10 minutes late for my 9:30, so I'll probably go across and see if that's still running.
So apologise, basically, is what you're doing after this.
Well, yeah, grovel and apologise for being late for a meeting that I run.
Yeah, that's right.
We have a morning call every day, True Potential. It covers off everything going on within the business. We implemented this through the sort of lockdown and when we had people working on and off site. Now we're all back on site. We keep that habit, that behaviour of meeting every day as a management team. So I think you'll see Laura and I running along the corridor to go and make that call. But it just means we can keep a real close eye on the day-to-day ops and give me a good chance to catch up with the team.
Well,
and
look,
see
Greg, if you need someone to blame for being late for your call, Raj won't mind. And Laura, the same thing. You're on waiting for your phone call.
We'll be heading off to the call, but today I've got the team in today, so the finance team. Well, some of the finance team are in today, so the team are working hard, and we're looking to get the annual accounts issued shortly. So working with the auditors to get them across the line and hopefully issue our great results for 2021 shortly.
Brilliant. Okay. Well, thank you very much for all your insight and tips and advice today. Very much enjoyed that. So thank you, Raj, Greg and Laura. We'll let these two go to their late meeting, or being late for their meeting, and we'll say thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Subscribing to the True Potential YouTube channel is quick and easy. Simply go to the channel on your desktop or through the YouTube app on your phone and click the subscribe button. You can then press the notification bell symbol if you wish to be notified as and when new videos are released. Doing this is a great way to keep yourself updated with market developments and personal finance insights. Thank you to everyone who has subscribed, and we look forward to continuing to help you do more with your money.